Coach Freeman.
All right. When you evaluate the film, here's some of the key factors that led to the outcome. Right, turnover margin, we lost 2-0. Explosive gains, they had 6 for 186 yards. We had 5 for 94. Time of possession, they had 35-plus minutes. We had 24. Rushing yards, they had 190, and we had 123. And then they won the third down battle. And so no matter who your opponent is, if you lose all those key areas, you're not going to win the game. The question in the past 48 hours, the challenge for everybody in our program is to figure out why those things happen. And obviously there's going to be some schematic things that I'm sure I'm asked about that we'll talk through. We got to improve. We have to ensure we're putting our guys in the right positions to do what they do best, but also to be able to execute in the game exactly what we want. But to me, the biggest thing I've been reflecting on in the past 48 hours is I think we have to learn how to handle success. And that to me is really what spoke to me watching the film, but really thinking about it. You know, this is the first time in my 3 years as a head coach that we have won the big game early in the season, right? 2 losses to Ohio State, and then all of a sudden we win, and everybody says, hey, you're going to the playoffs, you got an easy schedule. We all hear it. And I think we started to believe that. And there is a physical approach to preparing for a game. And I think physically we prepared the right way, but there's also a mental approach and a mindset that you have to have every single week. And I think that's where we failed. And so we got to challenge ourselves to make sure no matter who our opponent is, that physically and mentally our approach to the game is the same way. And that to me is really what we have to learn from this, is that we have to be able to handle success. And how you do that is you don't change the way you approach and your mindset each week. No matter what people say, no matter what you hear, as much as you can, you got to try to tune out the noise, right? It's easy to listen to the good things. Nobody wants to hear the bad things, people say, but neither of them should matter. Your approach should be your approach. Your routine should be your routine. And that's the challenge we have as a football program, is how do we handle success and make sure each week we're approaching the opponent the right way. The reality is that we have the talent. We have coaching staff to be a great football team. Much better than we displayed on Saturday, but we have a lot of work to do to ensure that we perform that way each opportunity we get. And so a couple injury updates. Faison will be back, expecting him to practice on Tuesday and expecting him to be back for the game. Tosh Baker will be out this week, but hopefully we can get him back here as soon as we can. And then Burnham is questionable. He went out, I think, the very last play with an ankle sprain. But he's made a lot of progress in the past 48 hours, so he's questionable right now in terms of if he'll be available to play. Just talking a little bit about Purdue, it's a team, as you watch film, that really from last year to this year has continuously improved under Coach Walters. They've won 3 of their last 4 games. On offense, I have a lot of respect for Hudson Card. I think he's a really good player. Runs their offense well. Graham Harrell's a guy I know that was the coordinator at USC when I was a defensive coordinator here, and I have a lot of respect for how he runs an offense. They do a really good job at running the football. They led the Big Ten in rushing last year in conference games, and I think they've rushed for 250-plus in the past 3 of the last 4 games. And so we got to make sure we're prepared to stop the run, and they have good skill. They got a really good tight end and some good skill at wideout. And defensively, it's a unique defense that you don't see every week in terms of their scheme. They're going to stack the box, and they're going to make you have to try to throw it on them. They take pride in stopping the run, play a lot of man coverage. And so to have success, we're going to have to be able to beat man coverage. And they're big up the middle. I said they're really big up the middle with their interior D lineman, their linebacker, and then the safeties are really, Thieneman's a good player. And so they do a good job of pressuring the quarterback, too. I think they were 3rd in the Big Ten last year. So we got a great challenge for us. Our guys will be ready. And we're going to have a great week of preparation mentally and physically, and then get back at it on Saturday. So with that, I'll open up for questions.
Coach, first question right in front of you, front row, Taylor Borka.
Coach, you guys were in the same sort of position last year where you lose one in September, and it kind of feels like you need to win the rest. Why can this be different? Why can you guys run the table?
Yeah, I think, Tyler, it's a different situation, though. The focus can't, and that's another part of this thing that I got to make sure our guys understand is that, everybody now say, hey, you'll be fine, run the table 11-1. Like, that doesn't matter. Like, this week matters. And who cares about the rest of that stuff, man? Like, we got to take care of this week. And that's got to be our mindset, right? Is that our preparation, Golden said this to me earlier, like, the preparation has no opponent. Like, we got to prepare the right way to have success on Saturday. And so that's all our focus is on is this upcoming week and this upcoming opponent.
And then also similarly to last year, it feels like the offense is having trouble pushing the ball downfield, lack of play-action passes, lack of passes 20 or more yards down the field. Why is that the case again, and what is kind of leading to that?
Yeah, I think there's opportunities to throw the ball down the field. We gotta do it. We got to make the decision to throw it there. And, we try to create some opportunities to push the ball down the field. And for whatever reason, for that play, maybe we didn't do it. A couple plays we did push down the field, and we got to make the play, a couple times one time we dropped it, and one time we got it picked off, and a couple times we scrambled. And so there's a lot of different things that go into the passing game that we have to improve on. But what we got to do is make sure that we're doing things that we feel like our guys can execute on game day. There's one thing to execute it in practice and to feel like, hey, we have the answers. If we see this look, this is where we want to go with the ball. But it's another thing to actually do it on game day. And so as coaches and players, we have to be aligned on, hey, this is exactly what we want you to do, and then we got to go out and do it on Saturday.
Coach, on your right side, third row,
Coach, the interior defensive line, Howard Cross, obviously isn't getting full reps, and you're without Rubio, and you're a little bit light, both, I guess, kind of in numbers and size. Do you have some options there? Is Mookum ready to contribute? Sevillano, those are bigger bodies that you could put in there, but obviously they're very young.
Yeah, I mean, Armel's really getting he's improving. He's improving, and probably right now is your fifth inside guy. Rubio should be back. I don't know exactly when he's going to come back here in a couple weeks, but I think Howard and Riley and Heinisch and even Anye, they've done a good job. We gave up way too many rushing yards. We know that, and I don't think it was because of our play at D tackle. I think it's more so they did a good job of forcing us to be lateral, and that's not who we are. We are an aggressive attacking defense that plays on the other sideline of scrimmage. But when all of a sudden you get all these motions and color in front of your face, and then you get outside running plays, it makes our guys it made our guys almost play football instead of football. And that's a challenge that we have for our defense this week. Like, we have to be aggressive no matter what type of offense we're seeing. We still have to play on the other sideline of scrimmage, and that's going to be a point of emphasis this week.
You talked about being physical on Tuesday and Wednesday of last week because you had things to correct with A&M. I'm sure you have things that you want to correct again this week. Do you remain physical, and where is the line of diminishing returns as it relates to, like you told us about 15% extra preseason practice? Is there a level where it gets to be diminishing returns?
Yeah, I don't think physically we weren't ready to play. I think I love the way, the physicality of practice last week was good, and we're going to be physical, and we're going to get after it on Tuesday and Wednesdays, and I believe that's going to be an edge for our team. What we didn't do well is maybe correcting some of the mistakes that we made in practice to the point where we executed it the right way in the game. And that's the kind of topic that we had as a coaching staff, is that, like, at times it's okay to fail in practice. That's what practice is for. Like, we're going to be physical. We're going to get after it, offense versus defense. But what we have to do is take some of the plays that we didn't execute for whatever reason in practice and make sure we get it corrected so that in the game we can execute it at the level we want to. And that's where a couple of the mistakes that we made in practice showed up in the game. And we went back as coaching staff, said, okay, hold on, let's look at practice and make sure that where in the preparation did we falter at. And I think, you can talk about holding penalties. A couple plays we said, it's probably a hold in practice that we just didn't get it corrected in the game, and we got to block better in space. We got to block better on the perimeter. Maybe you throw an interception in practice and you say, okay, hey, that's practice. You're supposed to fail a little bit in practice, but how do we get this corrected so it doesn't happen in a game? And so the other thing is sometimes quarterbacks being in a red jersey gives them a little bit of false sense of security, and we got to continue to work on our footwork at the quarterback position, step up in the pocket, and believe that you have more time than maybe you perceive with an edge rush. And that's where the red jersey sometimes creates a little bit of bad habit. So all those different things are areas in practice that I believe we have to get corrected, that you're every week going to have some failures in practice. And that's what practice is for. But we're not going to pull back from the physicality because I don't believe that the performance on Saturday had anything to do with the physicality of practice.
Coach, front row on your left, Jackson.
Marcus, sorry. I think R.J. Oben had only about 11 snaps in that game. Like, what are you kind of looking to see out of him to give you the confidence to put him on the field more, especially now with Burnham's status in question?
Yeah, just for him was more physically. I didn't think we didn't think during the game that he was able to perform at the level we need him to. He's fine physically. We just got to get him to play better, and he will. He will. We got a lot of confidence in RJ, and he'll have a good week of practice, and he has to step up this week.
And then with Riley having, I think, like 34 dropbacks, the running backs combining for only about 15, 16 carries. Did you feel like the run game was involved enough, especially late? And is there anything you wish you would have changed with those ratios?
No, I mean, when you have back-to-back 3-and-outs, and then you I think the one interception drive, we had 4 plays. That's going to affect the amount of carries that we can give our running backs. And so, we got to be more efficient on first down and more efficient on first and second down, really, so we can create more plays. Like that's part of that, time of possession. They did a good job of, even though we held them to field goals, like they did a good job of moving the chains, and we got to do a better job of that because 3-and-outs or 4 plays and an interception, it limits your opportunities for anybody to drop back or to run the ball for any offensive play.
Up for the middle on your right.
Coach, Riley Leonard's had, I think, some unexpected inaccuracy issues these first 2 games. Is he playing through something that's hurting him in this situation? And was there any consideration from you and coaches Gaduli and Denbrock of going to Steve Angeli in that fourth quarter?
No, there was no consideration of that. We had a lot of belief in Riley and him running our offense, and we got a lot of belief in Steve too. Right? That's not a shot at Steve. We got a lot of faith in Steve too, but no, there was no consideration of that. Again, the quarterback is just like the head coach, right? He is going to, and rightfully so, he is going to get the blame and he's going to get the praise. There are times that he has to throw the ball better. He knows that, and his fundamentals have to be better. His decision-making has to be better. But we also have to be better around him, and that's coaches, right, and what we're asking him to do and what we're asking him to read, and that's players-wise too. Like, we got to catch the ball when he throws we got to be better on contested balls, right? They made some contested catches, right, and we didn't when we needed to make as many contested catches as we were supposed to. And so the fingers at everybody. Right? We're pointing a finger at everybody. It starts with the coaches. It's always us. And we got to make sure we have a plan that our players can execute. Like, you can love your plan, but you better love what your players can execute. And I got a lot of faith and belief that we'll make sure we do that.
I think that leads to my follow-up question. Are you seeing it in practice? Are you seeing contested catches against your defensive backs from your wide receivers? I know protection's different because he's wearing a red jersey and protection affects every quarterback, but are you seeing them make plays in practice?
Yeah, they're battling. I mean, you can see it in one-on-ones. You can see it when we go good on good. You know, it's always a battle, right? If we're making too many contested catches on offense and you're saying defense, what are we doing? Defense, you know, and if we're winning every single ball, we're going to look at the offense. So it's been a great 50-50 battle. But at the end of the day, we got to do it on Saturdays too.
Second row on your left, Mr. Walsh, how are you?
Marcus, the first offensive drives in each half were your touchdown drives. How do you explain the difference between those drives and the others in the game?
Yeah. You know, I've evaluated that too. Like, man, so it isn't a problem coming out of the locker room. We're ready to roll. But you evaluate every play, Tyler. Like, it's not the first drive wasn't perfect, but we overcame some of the mistakes to make sure we scored a touchdown. And that's what we got to do consistently throughout the game is we can't make consistent mistakes that gets us to third and long situations, or we weren't even great on third and medium situations on Saturday. And so I think every play within itself is its own evaluation, and we got to be able to really stack plays, right? Keep the chains moving, and we can't go 3 and out. We can't do that.
Did you see growth on the offensive line between game 1 and game 2, and if so, in which ways?
I did. I thought they did a good job. It might not look like it sometimes when you're watching film. They did a good job protecting the quarterback. We got to trust that. We got to trust, you know, that they're going to protect you around the edges. We got to step up and make those throws. And, you know, I thought they did a good job in the run game too. There was a couple times, you know, we might have mis-ID'd somebody, or, you know, they rocked back and made a play in the run game. But overall, I thought our 5 offensive linemen, they played better week 2 than they did week 1.
Always to your right in the second row, top left.
Marcus, why has it been so difficult to sustain success? Not just this year, but it always seems like 3 steps forward, 1 back, maybe 4 steps forward, 1 back.
That's the game of football, man. Like, if I had the perfect answer, guess we would win every game we played. But that's the challenge. That's the ultimate challenge. And I think every year presents a different challenge. You know, I think I said this after the game. We've been here before, but it was different, obviously, in the loss to Marshall. Right? We hadn't won a game. I hadn't won a game, and so that's a lot different than where we're at now. And that's why it took me a little bit of time to look back and say, okay, what do we have to learn from this game? Yeah, schematic things we got to fix, but here's what's different about this one is that we got to handle success the right way, and that's every individual, including me, all the way down to our players. Like, how do we handle success in terms of our mental approach to the game? And so, Tom, I'm focused on making sure we're ready to go this week, and that's more important than worrying about a season long of sustained success. Let's get better this week and take care of business this week.
What about the identity of this team do you need to see on the practice field, in the meeting rooms this week?
Yeah, I mean, nobody's going to feel sorry for us. Like, I don't want anybody to feel sorry for us. Let's go. Like, I'm a competitor. I'm surrounded by competitors. Let's get back to work and let's challenge each other. They've all watched the film, but we actually get a chance to meet with them today as a coaching staff. Let's look at it. Let's own it, right? Own it first. Come up with a plan and attack it, and then let's go. Like, let's have the right mindset. And so, man, I'm ready to just get back to work and go. Like, I don't want sympathy. Nobody needs sympathy, man. Let's just get back to work and do the things it takes to have success on Saturday, right? Do whatever it is within our routine better than we've done it to make sure we can have success on Saturday. And I'm confident that we'll have an entire program with that mindset.
Up the middle, second row on your left, Mike Brady.
Marcus, Anthony Tresh and you got a lot of airtime down the stretch there as you were conferring. What kind of information, obviously it was about timeout usage, I imagine, but how did he do in that big role? The first time we've seen that kind of back and forth, and you guys were constantly conferring. What do you need to know from him in that instance, and are you guys confident as you reviewed the way the clock management went down the stretch that all the seconds available to you were given to you by the officiating crew, because it seems to be some confusion over when it should have restarted, et cetera?
Tresh has been great. He did it the first game too, so absolutely. He's been down there both games. So he has the book that kind of just, we talk about what's a go, hey, when we want to go for it. In certain situations on fourth down, I like to use that as a reference, in terms of, hey, when to call timeouts. It's just something that I'm able to kind of just ask him, hey, what's the book saying right now? When should we be thinking about it? As far as on defense, we were hoping on that last drive is to get him in a 3rd and long situation and try to force him to throw the ball so that they can be obviously an incomplete pass and get the clock stopped. But, they converted a 2nd and long to make it 3rd and short. And so I wanted to save that timeout for 3rd down just because I want to say, okay, 4th down, no matter what, no matter if they're going to go for it or they're going to kick it, let's take a minute to kind of get a plan together, what we want to do on this 4th down play. And, that's how it was. But Tresh has done a great job.
There was some confusion then on the TV broadcast whether you still had a timeout in your pocket as you take over on offense, and even in the play-by-play it showed that you used your last timeout after the review, and I don't think I ever heard an announcement of that. Did you guys, as you took over and last gasp, 24 seconds to go, have a timeout? And if so, did you know it?
No, we didn't have a timeout. We used one timeout on defense early in the second half.
Yes.
We had 2 timeouts left on that last drive. We used it after 1st down and used it after 3rd down. I don't know what the TV said, but.
Yeah, Jason Garrett, and they weren't informed of that, so that's why a lot of fans are like, why aren't they using their timeout?
Oh, yeah, I didn't watch TV copy. Sorry about that.
Okay.
I knew how many timeouts we had. Yeah.
All the way to your right, Eric Johnson.
Hey, Coach. After the game, Riley Leonard said something to the effect that his teammates needed to watch how he reacted to this. And I'm sure that they also were watching you in the last 48 hours. What would they have seen from the two of you?
Riley is he's a competitive person that takes ownership, puts a lot on his shoulders in terms of performance. And so, I'm sure he was down on Sunday, but we had a good meeting yesterday about the confidence we have in him, and hey, we got to learn from this game, and let's get back to work. And it's the same thing, you're going to see from the head coach is that you don't get much time to feel bad for yourself, right? The reality is let's go work and let's figure out the solution. And I've told the staff, like, misery wants company, right? Misery wants company. I want to sit here and I want everybody in this room to have misery with you, but this misery you have to do alone. Like, you got to do, you need some time of solitude to figure out, okay, what you as an individual, every person in our program, what we failed in preparation, right? Why weren't our guys, or why wasn't myself as a head coach? What failed in preparation? Right? Where do we have to get better at, and come up with a plan and to fix it? And so they're going to have a head coach that's eager, that's ready to go, ready to attack this next opportunity, that's confident. I'm so confident in the coaching staff. I'm confident in the players that we have. I know we'll get it right. We just got to go back to work and come up with the right plan and get it right. But we have the people in that building to make sure we get this thing where it needs to go.
One of the qualities the great coaches I've seen over the years has is they can see around the corner with a player. That the picture in front of them isn't necessarily what you're going to see down the road, and that pays off a lot of times. With Riley Leonard, what do you see around the corner that gives you the confidence of what he can become, and how close are you to that version of him?
I'm trying not to look so far around the corner. I know what I can expect of Riley Leonard this week, and that's a quarterback that's going to be prepared, that is going to look to enhance the way he prepares, it's going to look to be a great leader and challenge his teammates in the right way, and that will be ready to go on Saturday. Like, that's what I know in terms of him, and that's what I'm focusing on, is like, let's get the mistakes corrected from Saturday. Let's come up with the right plan and go and attack that plan, and let the performance take care of itself on this upcoming Saturday. But I know that's who our quarterback is, and now it's time to go do it.
Last question opportunity is to Pete Byrne on your left, third row.
Marcus, when you talk about physical versus mental preparation, I think we feel like we know what a physical preparation looks like. In your mind, what does mental prep look like? What does it sound like? And how will that go with your team this week?
Well, I think about, what I'm going to tell the team is the mindset you have right now, the way you want to go and attack this week should be the same way it is no matter what happened the previous week, right? And that I'm sure not many people want to read social media this week, or not many people want to turn on ESPN. It's natural to see ESPN saying, hey, then they're talking about the Notre Dame win over Texas A&M, let's watch it. But that doesn't help you mentally get prepared for this upcoming week. And that's what I want to make sure our guys, they have the same hunger, the same approach in terms of their mental preparation for a game and respect for their opponents, that no matter who we play. And no matter what happened the previous week. And so that is a question only the individual can answer, right? You as an individual can answer that, because I can't always get into the head of what you're thinking and what you're doing outside of this football program. But I always say your choices reflect your choices reflect what you value. And so we have to make sure if we value the mental approach, we value the right things, our choices are going to truly reflect that.
And can you and will you try and use disappointment, frustration as a means of motivation and spurring them on?
Yeah, there could be a chance I use some of that. I've always said this, I think leadership is knowing what your group needs. And if I think our team needs to look back at a loss and use it as motivation, I'll use it. But I don't think they're going to need much motivation this week. This is a group that has high expectations. I'm sure they feel poorly about their performance, and they're hungry and ready to get back to work, just like their coach is.
That's our time for today.
All right, thanks, guys. Yep.